he's a butthead. Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing another Marvel Select action figure review on the Doctor Strange movie's Doctor Strange figure. I picked this up at my local comic book shop. If you're on the coast and you want comics, hey, you go to Coastside Comics. If not, you go to
Big. Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below.
Very excited for this figure, just looking at it through the clamshell right here. It looks pretty sweet. I can see Diamond's added this little extra peg holding things together. Nice color palette right over there, and we get a nice Benedict Cumberbatch right over there, and then on the very back, you can see Doctor Strange. Whoa, man, that's a deadly fist. And then there's a read-up over here. If you want to read it, go ahead and pause it now. Alright, let's get to it and crack this thing open. And here's Doctor Strange along with the Sanctum Sanctorum base out of the packaging, which I think is very impressive. I really dig that a lot. I also like this Doctor Strange figure too. I really like the paint apps and the sculpting. I think they capture the likeness pretty well. It is a bit of a stiff figure. He does have a lot of clothing on, but they tried using some pliable material to help with that, so we'll get into more of that in a minute. Back to this base though, man, I am very impressed by that. I think this is actually probably the best base that Diamond Select Toys has ever made. I really love this stained glass window. I think it's very impressive. Anyway, he does come with some interchangeable hands, so let's take a closer look at his accessories, and then we'll take a closer look at Dr. Stephen Strange. Actually, I want to take a closer look at this base. I did put it together wrong. There was a little bit of gappage, if you may have noticed earlier, so I just got smooshed that all the way down in there. I really like the sculpted detail that we see in this. It's very subtle, but you can tell that, you know, all this little work right here is, well, maybe not sculpted, but painted on. I could definitely feel it, you know, raised a little bit above the plastic here. A lot of great stuff. I think that looks awesome. I really dig it a lot. I like the color brown too, you know, I think it just looks beautiful. There aren't any pegs sticking out of it to support the figure, but that's okay. Actually, I'm glad that it doesn't have that, you know, it just looks beautiful the way it is. And then looking at the stained glass window over here, oh my goodness, Diamond, this is awesome as hell. I really dig it a lot. So many details in here. Now they didn't hit the mark on every single little part of this thing. You can see some of those yellow squares are kind of falling around the lines. But then there's other parts where they do line up a lot better. But I mean, really, for the most part, this is fantastic. Tiny little bit of paint splotch right there. But really, I think they did such a great job with this. I really dig it a lot, man. Very, very well done. Very, very happy with this thing. It just looks really cool to me. And then there's nothing at the bottom over here, and it's pretty empty on the back too. So Doctor Strange comes with 6 interchangeable hands. You get a pair of fisted hands, you get his magic wielding hands, and then you also get these other magic wielding hands that are wide open right here. Plus we get this spell effect, which I really like, but I wish it was made with a lighter color plastic. I think they did a great job sculpting this and everything. I like all the little lines in there and stuff. I think it looks really cool. So I brighten things up. You might see it a little bit better. I just wish they used a much brighter color orange plastic for this. And they did paint it, so it's not just a solid piece right there. And then he also has his handprint right there. Palm in your face. Anyway, you can go ahead and put this right here. And it actually stays together fairly well. It's just a little unfortunate it only works with his right hand. But yeah, you can get him using that. So I think that's very cool. Looks pretty sweet. I like it, you know. Saw it at the beginning of the video. And I like how all the hands came out. There's a little bit of paint chipping, as you can see right here. But I think they look cool. A little on the pale side, but they did add some coloring to it. It's not just a solid color is what I'm trying to get at. It's like they added another flesh tone over the pale flesh tone that they initially put on there. So I think it looks pretty good, you know, nice sculpted work and everything. Just a tad on the pale side, you know. But for the most part, I like how the hands came out. Now looking closely at this ex-Benedict Cabbage Patch head sculpt, I think Diamond did a fantastic job. It really does look like Benedict Cumberbatch. I think they did great with that. Looking at the eyes and everything. The eyebrow paint is a little off though. You can see the little fuzzy eyebrows right there, kind of looking a little lonely. And then there is something a little strange about the paint on his cheek right here, which doesn't really bother me so much on this side because you get this kind of horizontal direction going on with that pinkish paint, but on his left side right here it kind of drips down like he was, you know, like, I don't know, bleeding out of his eyes or something like that. I don't know. But, you know, for the most part, I do think it looks good, and I like having different layers of paint on my figures. I'm always grateful for that. His goatee looks really good, so I like that, and the eyes look pretty nice too. Pretty close to center. The pupil over here is a little off, but you know, when you look at it from farther away, it does not stick out so bad. And looking on the side right there, you get the gray hair and everything. Nice brown over black for his hair too. I like the sculpted work on it. And the cape looks great, man. I'm really liking the cape a lot too. Very nice texture details and variations of color right there. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see that better. That looks really nice. Now, unfortunately, I wish you could interchange the cape with another one. It's a very collapsed cape right here. Or we could remove it. I wish we were able to remove the cape, but as far as the way it was sculpted, I think it does look very good. So I'm very happy with the paint and the sculpt of the cape, or the cloak of levitation. I keep calling this cape, but yeah, it's the cloak of levitation, sorry. But yeah, looking at the rest of the figure, we got the Eye of Agamotto right over there. Not looking too shabby, not too bad at all. I like that. So it's pretty sweet. Nice bright gold paint for it and everything. I love that we get these light blue highlights over this mid-tone blue, and then we get a much darker blue, again with some highlights on there. So I'm always grateful for that. This part, doesn't look too shabby, but I feel like this blue may be a little too bright, but I can't remember off the top of my head if it's supposed to be that bright. But it doesn't really look bad, I just think it's a little on the bright side. I really like this whole belt section over here. I mean, this is complex. I love all this little sculpted detail. We get some color variation with the silver paint added on top of it and some little gold bits right there. I think they did a good job with that. They painted it all the way through the back and everything, so you can see his tassel hanging over his butt. Not too bad. Oh, strange butt. Yep. Then we get some nice light blue over this darker blue, which I love. I think that looks awesome. I'm really digging that a lot. And this is made out of a fairly soft material, so it doesn't hinder the articulation as bad as if it was a much more stiffer material. But you can see a little bit of splitting right there. I wish they had gone with a naturally blue material, because you can see it starts looking red. But anyway, moving on to his legs, we get that very dark blue, and then here's his boots, not looking too bad. And then he does have some shoelaces on there and everything, and he does have treads at the bottom of his feet and some hole pegs. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the figure is a little on the stiff side, but you can get his head looking up quite a bit, so I dig that, and he will look down. You do get side-to-side movement, even though he has that collar right there, so you can turn his head side-to-side a bit, and he does have some neck pivot. His right shoulder can move all the way outward, but of course, because of the cloak of levitation, you cannot get that left arm moving out farther than that. You can move it that far, but the right arm will move much farther, all the way up. Both elbows have a single joint and rotation, and you can swivel all the hands side to side and hinge them up and down. He does have a waist joint right here that does turn side to side. It will crunch forward a bit and move back some. You also get a waist pivot. His hip joints move outward just that far. He can kick forward that much with this leg, and about the same amount with the other leg. So both legs can move forward and back not much at all. They both have an upper thigh cut. We get double jointed knees in there, which is tough to move, but you could bend the double jointed knees all the way in, which is great. Then the ankles move down, and they don't move up, and they do have ankle pivot. Now to measure out this Doctor Strange figure, you can see that he's standing just a little under 7.5 inches tall. And then for your Marvel Select Doctor Strange comparison, we have our movie Doctor Strange compared to the comic version Doctor Strange that just came out not too long ago. And to compare Doctor Strange to another MCU figure, we have the Dark World Mighty Thor over there. And actually, Thor is a little bit more pale than Doctor Strange. So as pale as I thought he was, I think he's much lighter in skin tone. But I do like the height difference between these two. Then here's the Marvel Select movie Doctor Strange compared to the Marvel Legends movie Doctor Strange. And if you remember me mentioning these light blue bands right here on the forearms, they're actually brown on this Marvel Legend figure. And one thing I want to note is that you can use this effect with the magic wielding hands for the Select Doctor Strange. And what's kind of funny also is that these are both sculpted by Gentle Giant. Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure they're both sculpted by Gentle Giant. But this one came out a lot better as far as capturing the likeness than this one right over here. So if they fail once, they get to try again. Then to compare this movie Doctor Strange to your average 6-inch scale action figure, here he is next to the Marvel Legends Big Time No Letdown Spider-Man. Then here's Doctor Strange up on a flight stand. I have a Figma stand underneath there, and it looks really cool seeing him hovering like this. And I have added the Marvel Legends effect and the comic version Diamond Select Toys effect right there on him, and yeah, it just fell off. That's the only way I was able to get it on there, just, kind of just rested on there. So if you wanted to take pictures of that, it'd look pretty cool. I think this is a very good looking Doctor Strange. I mean, I do have problems with the articulation, and I wish we could remove the cloak of levitation and things like that, but for the most part, I think it looks really good. So if you want to get the figure into crazy dynamic poses, you're going to get a little frustrated, but if you want him in a decent pose and just put him on the shelf, you're going to like it. And I hope you guys liked this review. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below. If you are not subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It'll be coming at your face. If you're already subscribed, make sure you hit that that notification bell so you know when Shartimus Prime videos are coming your way. If you want to see a photo gallery of images, it's over at marvelousnews.com. And if you love these YouTube videos and you want to see more, please go ahead and support me on Patreon. It is not easy. Your guys' support is much needed and appreciated. And I'll catch you guys a little later. Peace.
Posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures every day. I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, I'm posing action figures, it's okay.
That's crispy.
We're shot in your face. I said 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 we're shot